Hi, my name is Jamie, and I'm going to be explaining the theme of regions. So, you might have heard my voice in a previous one, and I'd like to again explain the theme of regions. So, we first have an image here, and this is probably one that we're really familiar with when we're talking about the United States. A lot of times we use these terms and we don't understand that they actually fit into that theme of regions. So, when we think of the West, the Southwest, the Midwest that we belong into, the Southeast, and the Northeast, that can classify as a region. So what is a region? The biggest thing to keep in mind, it's an area of land. So if we're looking at place, that tends to be smaller. Region is larger, a larger area of land that share common features. That word common is super important. And that could be natural, which means something that is part of the land. So it could be mountains. It could be a dry temperature. It could be really rainy, like tropical, or artificial features. And when I say artificial, that means by people. So that could share a common language. So again, in the United States, our official language is English. So it could be a common language. But then again, if you're looking into a region like, if we go back to that map, the Southwest, you also have a commonality of a lot of Spanish speakers. So you have some of those commonalities, right? It also could be government. So the United States share a common government of a republic, democracy, or it could even be religion that could define a region. So again, they can be large or small. One example they give is the Middle East is considered a political, environmental, and religious region. Now, I want to show an example, though, of that because I think that's a good way to think of it, but you can also see how conflict comes about. So most of the Middle East, again, share the same political system, environmental, again, really dry areas, right? When we think of the Middle East, we think of deserts. And religious, we often think of Islam. But I want to, again, show, here's a map of the Middle East, of what we consider the Middle East. You can see how there can be exceptions, right? So we see really tiny right here, Israel, where it's 75%, if not more, Jewish population amongst a whole region of mostly Muslim countries. And that can cause conflict, right? If you have a different commonality. Now, Israel in other ways is very similar to these other countries, right? Both in those physical features and also kind of in its government system. But it has that key difference. And sometimes, again, that can cause conflict. Sometimes it doesn't. It really, right, depends. You can see in the north, Georgia is usually not considered part of the Middle East, but it is right on that border. More we consider that part of Eastern Europe, but you can see how that's Orthodox Christian. Again, that could cause conflict on those borders. So sometimes regions really can cause conflict. Another good example, again, Amazon River region. We can think of that as well. Warm temperatures, rainfall, large diversity of similar plants and animal species. And what it says here is little human impact on the environment, but we're going to talk about that actually in the next piece, how that has changed, right? That now there is actually a large impact there. So again, key components, region can be small or large. It is, though, larger than a place. It's multiple places, and they share some commonality, whether it's natural, so something that has been there from all mankind, so landforms and such, or again, it could be artificial, which means human-made, so language, government, religion, traditions, and we can see how that can cause conflict or peace, depending on the dynamic. So we'll talk more about human and environment interaction in our upcoming videos.